I'm just checking if everybody's seated. Welcome, everyone. My name is Bruce Hulker, Associate AIA, Co-Chair of the Women in Architecture. Oh, it's louder now.
Yeah, that's good.
Thank you for taking the time and coming here and supporting us and these beautiful ladies. We have our Long Island presidents, Graciela Carrillo here.
Welcome, everybody.
She's also the co-chair of the Women in Architecture. And then our moderator, Renee Marcus, AIA Chapter Secretary and Superintendent of the building at the Village of Floral Park. We'd also like to thank our ABC Stone sponsor for our event. There will be a small tour after of their fabrication facility in the back. This is a Women in Architecture and NAWIC panel event. Stands for the National Association of Women in Construction. Did I say that correctly? You did. Okay, just double checking. Women Reshaping the Construction Industry. Our Women in Committee mission is to encourage the success and leadership of women in architecture industry. The purpose of the Long Island Women Committee is to foster fellowship, cooperation, network, and unite between members, all this to empower women at all levels in their careers. Now I'd like to introduce Ingrid Sletton. Did I pronounce that right as well? Okay. Our partner from NAWIC. She's the Director of Sales for Exact Contracting Corp. and NAWIC Chapter Secretary.
Actually, on the membership committee this year, whatever, fine, no problem.
Okay, sorry. Apologize.
No
We
problem.
have so many titles.
No
We
problem,
do
we
so
do,
much.
no problem, no problem, I'm on the board, that's the main thing. So did you want to speak next?
No, that's okay.
Okay, so what, shall I introduce the
Introduce
panel?
the speakers, yes.
Introduce
And
NAWIC first.
NAWIC.
Oh,
If you would like.
great,
Yes,
okay,
yes.
great, okay, hi. So, I'm Ingrid Sletton, and I am a proud, committed part of the National Association of Women in Construction. And specifically, this is the Greater New York chapter. And just to give you an idea about what NAWIC is an organization that accepts and encourages women all across the industry, all the way from architects, engineers, to tradeswomen, people in sales, construction, in any capacity. Office, people who work in the office, people who work in the field. And we have been around since the 1950s, which is pretty extraordinary if you think about that. There's some very brave women who decided to get together and to demand some changes and to stand together, and they've been around since then. And the reason that it's so important to me is because NAWIC is a place where any woman in the industry can come and find support in the form of just knowing one another in terms of training. We mentor each other, we network together, we talk about issues in the industry, and everybody is welcome. And frankly, money is not important. Whether our events are very reasonable. We don't, it doesn't cost a lot to participate, and that's not an area where we focus, which really makes it easy for anyone to present themselves and be part of our organization. So this is something that means a lot to me, and we'll be talking about this, of course, on the panel. And I encourage you, if you're interested in supporting women in the industry, to learn more about NAWIC and to participate in it, whether you're a woman or not a woman. We encourage men to participate as well. So I think that's what I want to say about NAWIC.
Then you get introduced.
Okay, great. So then I'll introduce the panel. So we have three amazing panelists today. The first one is Cielo. You can see her. Yes, and she is president of her own firm. She's the founder and president of a construction management services company here in the city, and she'll be talking about that. And then we have Jennifer Carey, who is the founder and principal of JLC Environmental Consultants. She is a pioneer in the city in terms of the work that she does environmentally, as well as being a woman who has that position. And third, Ellen Reiper, who is our current chapter president of the Greater New York chapter. And Ellen is an attorney who has lots of important insights for us tonight. And she's a partner at the law firm of Lewis Brispos here in the city. So I think with that, all set.
Sure.
Oh, yes, it's okay, the video, yes. So, we're going to show the trailer for a movie called Hard-Hatted Woman, which gets to that whole area that I spoke to a moment ago about tradeswomen that in the industry. And it's something that is very important to NAWIC. And this is a trailer of a movie, which is going to be a full-length movie about women in the trades. So we're going to just take a look at it, and then we'll speak about it later on in the panel. So here we go.
The biggest obstacles, staying true to me and not becoming someone else. I just trying to find my own path.
The one question that I'm completely tired of is people being like, so why did you want to do this for a living? With like a huge sense of suspicion.
They push against the norm. They're pushing against society and what they're saying that we should be and we should do.
Why are the trades the last industry to become integrated at all? I don't think it's women not wanting to go into trade. I think a lot of women who start leave.
You know, construction is the last frontier. The military's gone over to 15%, the police have gone over to 15%. There's tons and tons of women doing heavy-duty jobs in higher percentages, and for some reason we can't seem to change it in construction.
They could not possibly put together that you can actually do the stuff that they do. It's like you're a little porcelain doll. I was raised to do this. I was born in this business to do this. I'm here to work.
Hoping to deny access to women in this industry is like hoping to deny the sun from coming up tonight. It's going to happen. Whether you like it or whether you don't, the sun's going to rise.
I've always known that I have just as much right to be there as anybody else, but I didn't always act that way. You feel so isolated, you don't see other people that are like you, you're always on guard. I felt like this is your world, and I'm coming into this industry that belongs to you. And I don't think that anymore. I just don't know what direction I like to go without this. As long as I feel it, that I have the strength inside of me, then there's nothing that's going to be able to stop me.
I bank on the fact that in a few years it's going to get better, and you really have to have a lot of faith in that.
Thank you, everybody, for coming. This is a good reminder also, and when we talk about the construction industry, most of us may be architects here, but it really takes a village. There's a nice broad depth of individuals representing parts of the whole construction world, including ABC Stone, where we're at now, right? Material suppliers and attorneys and environmental and construction managers and architects and engineers and whatever it is. So tonight we're going to go through that. I have a list of questions I'm going to start off with, but you're all free to ask questions as we go along. So if I can start by asking individually your background and how your career path led you actually into construction, and favorite parts of your career. If we could start with UCLA, please.
Thank you. Well, my career started actually kind of by accident. My mom used to work in the industry already, and she wanted me to be part of it. I took the chance, and I haven't looked back. So 18 years ago, I started working in the construction industry, and along the way, I started in a trailer with relatively, little English. I did okay, but you need to get better as you go along. I started in a trailer. I saw how houses were building from the ground up, and it was amazing just to see or be part of that process. And then I moved to an office, then to construction management firms. And during these 18 years, I have to say that it has been very inspiring, and to be part of such an industry where you can see actual buildings and communities coming up. So that's how I started, thanks to my mom, which is here. And one of the highlights of my career, I have to say, is teamwork. So if I had to think of one specific example of it, was when Hurricane Sandy hit. So we were working, and it was, I remember we were working like in a kind of like a warehouse, and we were doing document control. And we were there with no lights, going through paperwork and pushing through. And this feeling of working together, it didn't matter if it was late, it didn't matter if we didn't have light, fuel, we were bringing it from one place to another. That sense of team and working together was one of the most inspiring moments in my career. So part of that was also, like now from one of my best friends, Lana, also here. You build these wonderful relationships, and then you move the projects together. So it's just a great experience.
Thank you. I know you have your own company.
And I have my own company.
You want to talk about what you do in your company?
Sure. So one of the things that inspired me to open my business was because we did mostly document control, and I saw how the small companies or small business struggle to get paid. And these happened even if there were small, medium, or large companies. They were just having a hard time. They wouldn't be get paid for like 3-6 months, So it bothered me a lot that sometimes it was just a matter of paperwork. So I started working with the contractor, say, well, all you need to do is this. So I helped them kind of uniform the forms so that they can move ahead and they were able to get paid faster. So that's how I started my business. So we provide extension of staff, and we provide document control for small and medium contractors so that they can actually be successful in the industry. So small business, women business, we might know a lot about in the field, right? So I tell the contractors, you know how to build, let me help you with the paperwork and navigate, the city agencies. And this is how they can be successful. So I want to be part of that, building up, minority and women in the construction industry.
Thank you. Jennifer, you could explain about what you do for your living and how you came into your profession and what you like best about the industry.
Thank you, and thanks AIA and thanks to NAWIC for sponsoring this event and having us here tonight. And thanks for all coming out. I try to get everyone in my company, which is an environmental testing firm, to join one organization because, as I was telling one of our colleagues, the youngest guy here tonight, that I was kind of like Johnny Appleseed, and I spread like a lot of seeds out when I was in my younger days, and then they come to fruition as you grow older. For you people who are young in the room, it's good advice because I didn't know I was kind of doing it, but that's what I did. And now, like when a developer like someone called Zeckendorf calls, like the person who answers the phone in my office doesn't even know who Zeckendorf is. But for those of you who know that they built the United Nations, they're kind of a big kind of name in the business. So she's like, "Do you want to take a call from Zeckendorf?" I'm like, but it's a whole other story. I was talking to Mr. Molino, Robbie, about working for developers before, but during the networking session. But anyway, our company, JLC Environmental, I started in 1987, but what I did is I wanted to be Jennifer Cousteau. I wanted to be a biologist, I wanted to do marine biology, and that didn't work out because, when you don't have a lot of, when you start out in life without a lot of stuff, it's kind of hard. So, Anyway, I ended up with a biology degree, but I ended up doing industrial hygiene at my first job in New York at Exxon in Linden, New Jersey. And my son who's 17 just got a car and it said Linden, New Jersey on the car. I'm like, this is weird, my first job, your first car. But so I did environmental testing there, and I met a lot of people, right? So the people I met were some of them were business owners, but some of them were, like one guy I have to say, because in '87, there was a stock market crash, kind of like 2007. And my company said, let's get out of New York, and we're gonna go back to Ohio. And I'm like, I don't wanna move to Ohio, I'm from upstate New York, I've been there, done that, and I wanna move back there. So I wanted to stay in the region here, down here, and so I looked around and I said to my one friend in Brooklyn, I was telling you about Red Hook before Red Hook was cool. I said, who should I go work for? And he was like, well, there's this one and there's that one. And I'm like, because the environmental industry was in the very beginning part of the environmental industry was like the Wild Wild West. That's why I was thus in Red Hook. But so I'm in Red Hook, I go, and the guy's like, oh, this one, that one. So then I said, well, I was kind of dating a guy who worked for a company. His boss used to come to events in the summer, look like, for those of you who know what a stereotypical flasher look is, where you're wearing like a Burberry with nothing like that, like a park. That's what the guy was like. So I'm like, these guys can do that. Sorry, no offense to the guys, but I'm like, if that guy can run a company, I think I can do that. So I said, you know what, I don't have any kids, I don't have anything to worry, I'm only myself, me, myself, and I, and that's how I started the company. And 30 years later, we have about 35 people running around New York City and the region, New York, Connecticut, New Jersey, doing testing on everything from the demolition of old Yankee Stadium to the new Barclays Center, and we helped do that. And and I didn't even know that I was in the construction business until like 1991 when we got the Sheraton St. Regis Hotel. And I was like, oh, this is, and we were out there for 3 years, and they had changed the scope of work to have all the walls come down in the hotel because the guy thought it looked like a subway station from Boston. He was like, this looks bad, take it all. And they were all filled with asbestos from like 1914. So it made 3 years more on the job. It made me like get out a Rolex. I was like, yeah. So anyway, the point is that you can make, and I always, next week I'm on a panel about women entrepreneurs, and I said, if you're in a business, you eventually maybe start your own business. So I think more, as we get more success in the construction industry, we will see more women become owners and move up the corporate ladder, because there's a lot of fall off in like mid-management and the C-suites. Well, there's some research we'll talk about later, but that's kind of how I got my start. I loved your story too, and my mom and both my mom and my grandma were also entrepreneurs, although I didn't really kind of get that whole thing until later. But so anyway, how do I think those are the three questions you want to answer first. So I talk faster from.
I know. I'm
a fast talker.
That's awesome.
Ellen, same question, please.
Okay. So, I'll first say I decided I wanted to be a lawyer because I used to get my ass kicked growing up in Brooklyn all the time. And I realized that I was too scrawny to beat them up back. So I decided I would talk my way out of things. And someone said, hey, you should be a lawyer. I'm like, what a great idea. Now I just need all the money. Growing up in Brooklyn doesn't give you much money. But here I am years later. I will tell you, when I started out 35 years ago as a female attorney, the judges themselves would say, sweetie, could you come over here a minute? Can you just do this for me for a second while I'm on the bench because my secretary's not here? Or I would go into a guy's office, an attorney, and they'd say, sweetie, could you grab the coffee? And finally I started grabbing the coffee and bringing it in and sitting down and ripping the you-know-what out of my adversary's witness. And I said, if they want to treat me that way, that's fine. I'm going to keep my mouth shut. I'm not going to say, hey, I'm woman, hear me roar. Well, I don't have to tell the women and the young people out there that you have to be better than everybody else. You have to be more prepared than anybody else. And I guarantee that all the women sitting up here and all the women sitting out there and all the men know to be successful in business, you have to do it better. So I don't sit there and watch women flail. I reach down and I help women up. And I've been doing that for 35 years. In elementary schools, in high schools, in colleges, I talk about construction as an opportunity for women, law as a great opportunity for women. It's the year of the woman, especially as an attorney. I've been hired recently by many people that I won't mention their names, but we all hate them. They're not good people. And they want women. They need to put a woman in front of a jury. Whether it's a construction accident, or I'm arguing about an invoice or a change order or an RFP, I don't care what it is. I'm getting hired now because I'm a mother, I'm a woman, No one thinks I'm emotional, they think I'm practical. They know they can call me at 11 o'clock at night and I'm gonna take care of the problem by the next morning. We solve things, we multitask, we're able to do a lot of things at once. So my greatest thing has been really, as corny as it may sound to all of you, to be able to help other women, because it comes back around, it really does. I get people coming out of law school saying, I heard you speak 4 years ago. Do you have a job? You know, can I come work for you? Can I come? And these incredible men, women, millennials are all coming to work in the law industry now. It's a tremendous opportunity, particularly in construction, because there are so few of us. Now, I will tell you, even though that film said 3% of construction workers are women, we're actually close to 20% nationally now. That is not just workers, it's not just tradeswomen. It's women who own businesses. It's women who are risk managers. That's inclusive of this number. So, and it's inclusive of architects and engineers and anyone else, safety managers. That's part of the number, and you're starting to see it growing. I'll talk a little bit about later about things I think architects and some of us can do in terms of risk management to protect ourselves, which is really something you can take away.
Thank you. I know when I went to school a few years ago, there was, I think, most of the classes, I would say, I was probably the only woman. And it never discouraged me, I have to say. I really never saw any difference. I liked the career and I liked the industry. And that's really what kept me going. I just love construction and design and architecture and everything that goes along with it. So to me, that's the benefit. I really enjoy my job and everything that I do, no matter what it is. But what do you think, and anybody can answer this, or all of you can answer this, what do you think that benefit women, how do women benefit by being and working in the construction industry, whether it's in corporate type roles, project management roles, or even the trade roles that we see here? What's the biggest benefit towards women working in construction?
I have to say that I agree with Ellen when she says we are very practical. So we are given a challenge or a task and we take on and we do it. So we are proactive, we innovative because we just get it done. It doesn't matter what it takes or what we have to do. If we have to stay late or we have to make some phone calls, whatever it is. So I think we go the extra mile. And I think because in the industry there's relatively few of us, then we have to kind of work double and we're getting used to it. And so the industry is seeing that response. So I think the benefit is actually being more participant, and also what Ellen said is we need to prepare ourselves better. Take advantage of every course, every certificate that you see that can embrace your career. Take it, because this is the time that you can really make a difference in your industry.
Did you ever imagine yourself in any other industry now that you're working in construction?
No, I'm never looking back. I mean,
Yeah.
this is it. It's wonderful. I have met wonderful people. And the best part of it is that, you know, I'm an immigrant. English is not my first language. I have a heavy accent, and, you know, people see me and they say, are you doing this? And they get inspired, you know, so that's the best part. If I can do it, trust me, anybody here can do it. So I just hope that everybody understands that this is a perfect time to be in the construction industry. It's booming, and we need people, talented people that already can see they are here. But going back to Ellen, we need to be prepared. Get certificates, get the education, network, and take care of every single tool that any organization can bring to you. Grow, but it has to come from you first.
There's so many things I could say. I gotta whittle it down because, you know, I'm a fast talker and my mind's really going quickly. But what I would say, adding on to what my panelist said, is that women, okay, and the 3% is still in the trades, it's still 3%, because last week I taught a class for non-traditional employment for women, which is an organization trying to help women get into the trades, because the more people going into the trades, maybe they'll become project executives, managers, maybe they'll run a big company like a Tishman. I mean, who knows? We don't know. But like Cushman & Wakefield was just two guys, one named Cushman, one named Wakefield. CBRE was, you know, this guy, Richard Ellis, whatever. So I think that that's one of the things we got to keep working on that number, even though it's 20%. In commercial real estate, it's really much higher. I belong to commercial real estate women. I'm involved with Women Builders Council, Professional Women in Construction, NAWIC, and all these things are important, because even the other day, I was at a meeting at SUNY Stony Brook, and I thought, there was one other woman there, and I thought she was going into the meeting with the other 19 guys and myself, but she was just taking like attendance and then she left. I was like, oh, geez, you know. And I'm like, in the city that doesn't happen so much, but you'll still see it. And I'm not a spring chicken, you can see I don't, bow tie. I mean, I got like, this is not how old I am, so I'm like, really? Are you kidding me? Like, really? I couldn't be, I know I'm far out, and like, Stony Brook's kind of far out a little bit, but like, not that far. It's not like, that's like Iowa. Whatever. So anyway, I think we need to have more women there, just because Crew, my commercial real estate women, which I've been a big part of, you read my little bio thing they gave out. Crew does a lot of research. Every year we do a benchmark, every year we do white papers, but every 5 years we do a benchmark study with MIT and Babson and some other colleges, and what they found is that more diverse teams, whether it's just all white men, all old pale or stale or male or whatever, and versus not, a more diverse team, because it was like that. It was monolithic before. When I first came up, one of the things someone said to me, I was climbing a ladder at the stock exchange too, like the bastion of like whatever. And the guy goes, and this is my friend from Red Hook, he goes, oh, don't look up her skirt. I happened to wear a skirt that day. I didn't know I was going to be on a ladder. I'm sorry, but it wasn't even a short skirt or anything, but like, don't say that, and don't treat your women and your other colleagues that are not like you with the same respect, is what I would say. But we also, that's a little aside, but like, I just felt like, you can stand out from the crowd, being one of 19 people in that room, which is great, but also having a diverse team in your organization is going to make your organization, it's been proven, it's time and time again, more financially, you're going to make more money. So having all one opinion in a room instead of a very diverse group of opinions is going to help you manage your company or deal with solutions and problems that come up with on a job. So that would be one of the reasons why women are going to succeed in construction. And like that guy said, it's like the sun is going to come out, so you might as well just let it happen. Because there are people that, when I worked at Exxon, they'd be like, you don't tell me what to do, Missy. I'd be like, oh, that's unsafe. And by the way, that video had 2 OSHA violations that I saw. I was like, they were underneath the lift, the big crane, there should be nobody under that. And then also the woman that was wearing welding wasn't wearing the right proper protections. But we'll go into that later, but it's a movie. But, so I'm just saying, we need to know our stuff, being prepared, know what I saw, was that real, or what not. I know it's no dramatization, but that's what I would say about women in construction as we continue our journey through whatever we're going to go through.
I feel like I need a cigarette after
Me, you and me both. Like, I'm supposed to be 5 years ago. Does anyone have any later?
Wow. No, that was really good, actually. Not much. You said it all, I think, and very well, I might add. Studies show companies that have diverse teams, they not only are more profitable 100%, have happier workplaces, have higher
More
retention. Jinx. It's right, exactly. It's shown. There are studies. It's not science. It's not mad science. There are the stats. And I got to tell you something. I moved over after 33 years of practicing into a firm in the city because they had more than 50% female attorneys, had the highest number of minority attorneys, had the highest number of partner minorities, et cetera, et cetera. You can't imagine how hard that is to find. I've been working with white men, with all due respect, my entire life. First time I actually have women in the offices next to me, and they're smart and they're partners, and isn't that amazing? So we're getting there. We're getting there.
Thank you. So that we really talked about how construction companies and industries benefit from having women on a team. What about the trades themselves? We talked about this on our conference call a little bit. The trades people themselves, when there are women on the job site, talked about certain aspects that really help.
Well, I just taught the ages of the women I taught, 40 women last week, because OSHA only allows you to teach 40 people in a class. So they wanted to put 44 in there, but I said, you only can be 40. So they had 4 people who were turned away, but the 40 people in there were all between 15 and 17 years old. Some of them had driver permits, like that was their idea. I was like, you guys are so cute. And like, you have so much ahead of you. And some of them, parents were in the union, some of them were just thinking of maybe, they had like interviews with a plumber woman who was not only had a bachelor's, but a master's degree in teaching, but went into plumbing. And now she's a journeyman and makes like $59 an hour, which is more than a teacher. So she was very happy. So she was telling her stories. People came and told stories. But if you look at these people, if they're going to be, I think they're going to be more safe. I'm sorry, but I do feel that women's brains work differently than men. And in safety and OSHA stuff, you want to get home. All you want to do is at the end of the construction job of the day, you want to go home to your family. You don't want to fall off a building and die. You don't want to be crushed by a scaffold or in excavation. You just want, or you don't want. There was an architect the other day that I took my pressure class. An architect was working on the leading edge of a building. I don't know if you know him. He had a dizzy spell at the edge of the building, and he fell off to his death at 55 stories. And, like, he was an architect, he was a very smart man. He had 3 kids. I didn't believe the lady telling me the story, it was true, and I went on Facebook and I found it was true. So this can happen to anyone, so I think that women and more, like, I don't know if you see the bravado, a lot of macho, whatever, machismo, that guys can have on construction sites, I've seen it myself, but I think if they get into the trades more, there'll probably be better safety, like, you know, people like, you know, one of the women said, oh, my boss wanted me to climb across this beam and go straighten something out over across the beam without fall protection, and I wouldn't do it. But the safety guy had been listening in the corner and said, you did the right thing, and that guy shouldn't have done that to you, and it was kind of, she was trying to trick her or something. So I just think that we all need to be aware of our younger people coming up, trying to encourage them. I'm involved with a mentorship program at Professional Women in Construction, and I think as we get older, we want to see other people succeed. And when you get into middle management, don't give up the ghost. I mean, we all have kids and stuff, and a lot of times all that falls on the women, but the burden of taking care of people. But I think we got to work and continue. Like we're trying to hire more women in our own company because there's not a lot of women going to the environmental sciences. Although maybe I'm stereotyping backwards. But I'm trying to get more women in my company and try to give them leadership opportunities, and I think that will solve a lot of problems for women.
Thank you, that kind of segues right into the next question, is how do we keep women in construction? Because I know now, I see it in the classes, I get a lot of women in my classes when I'm teaching, and we get the women there, and they're interning, and they're starting in the construction companies, architectural engineering companies, they don't stay. They move on to other industries, or just quit the profession completely. How do we get women to be interested in it for the rest of their career?
I think I'll start with real opportunities. You know, a lot of us is starting the construction industry, and we stay in the same title or in the same position for so long that we don't see a way out. So what we embrace in our company in CAFCO is that, you know, we give you the tools so that you can, you know, learn more. You know, we give you access to certificates, to programs, to registration with entities like NAWIC and National Association of Women in Construction, Minorities in Construction, so that they can actually feel that they are part, not of a job or a title, but they are part of a community that is building. So to me, that's number one. The other part is you have to be flexible, and you have to, you know, understand that these are not just women, they're also mothers, or they could be caretakers. So that is very important, you know, so you have to embrace them for who they are in society.
Anybody have anything to add?
I think that's pretty good.
Okay, thank you.
What we do to keep the people engaged, even men and women, because both of us, all genders have people, like we're the sandwich generation, we have maybe older parents that we gotta take care of, younger kids at home. So we just try to give flexibility and give them the feeling of support that they have. So we have, you know, kind of interesting, we always get calls in the middle of the night because environmental stuff happens, like steam pipes explode and stuff. So you never know what your job is going to take you, but I think having those things in place for people is an important way to keep them in your company. And also just say that giving them opportunities to go out and like do the things. Like a lot of times we don't get the golf invitations. Learn how to do something. I mean, you don't have to. I like playing golf because I like being outdoors. I wanted to be Jennifer Cousteau, right? So it's the only way I get to go outside. Otherwise, I'm all in buildings all day. You know? Do some golf, something like get involved with something.
And I know for the young people here, you know, myself, when I decided I want to be an architect, I knew really nothing about the whole industry. I thought an architect just draws and designs buildings. And here we are, 4 of us, all doing very different type roles in the construction industry, but all very related. What kind of unique positions or career paths can you talk about that might inspire some of our younger generation?
Well, I dissuaded my own children from going to law school, so I'm not really sure how to respond to that. One, because it's too much money, but, you know, I would encourage women, particularly in the law, to go into an area that is not all one gender. So in the law, for instance, construction, there are very few women attorneys in the field. My team, I have about 30 or 40 attorneys under me, and about 3/4 of them are women. they're all litigators, they're all in the courtroom. The men actually stay back and write the motions and stuff for me, and I thought it worked out very well that way. Yeah, it really does, because the women are able to be more convincing of the bench, the court, the judges, than the men are. And I find the men write very well, so they're all like house dads. It's perfect. So that worked out well. But I can't, at some point I have to express that, particularly as a woman architect, to just be very, very careful with your work, which I can talk about at another time. But I see very few women architects, and when we do see them in lawsuits, the male attorneys, my colleagues, unfortunately will go after you because you're a woman, and they're going to try to make you want to cry or make you feel bad or whatever the case may be, which is why I'm there to protect you. So, really as a female architect particularly, I have seen plaintiff's attorneys go after you, whether it's construction defect or a personal injury matter or, like I said, an RFP or whatever. So I just, caution you to stand strong, don't take any you-know-what, and just be prepared for those types of situations when you're about to be eviscerated by one of my male colleagues.
Thank you. Jennifer, I know environmental is just, it surrounds us. We can't get away from it. Obviously, you have a large part of that in your career. And maybe you could explain some of the avenues that people can take to work in the environmental.
Well, we're doing a job for another, I turned it off, sorry. We're doing a job for another developer that has this that we had to put together a team, because we are not engineers, we're environmental scientists. So we had to get environmental engineers on the team because it's a vapor intrusion coming up. They forgot to put the vapor barrier in. I don't know how they forgot, we were talking about that too. But anyway, so it's made a whole bunch of problems for this building, and now we have the leasing agent who leased the space. We have the building manager, we have the architects, the engineers. The other day, Monday, we had like 20 people at a building. It was like so much money in this meeting. I was like, really, this is, and it's for a problem that can't be repaired until the slab is poured into in the next building because it's connected underneath the ground, and it's causing a preferential pathway for vapors to, whatever, it's a whole story. But like, that's not a lot of women maybe like that. I don't know, we actually did just hire 4 new people and 3 of them were women. So I'm hoping, we're trying to find more people that are interested in environmental science. I don't care if you're purple, pink, green, I don't care who you are, male, woman. It doesn't matter to me as long as you're interested in solving problems and you like environmental science, because it's not really fun to go to work with people that don't like what they're doing. So we try to keep a good family atmosphere. It's only a 35-person company, so we can do that. And everyone tries to get along and work well. And I think that women are peacemakers. We're kind of, at least us older ones, we were socialized to be like, everyone has to like us. And everyone has, are you okay? I still bring snacks to my office. I'm like, oh. But I like to do it because it's like, I think it's a fun thing. Or we buy for that. We like to have free snacks, and people like to, we want to have a good workplace. We're never maybe going to make it to the Crane's best places to work because we're a smaller company, but we might apply for it one day. But you want to just make it environment for, and I to tell you the truth, I'm kind of almost getting tired, not tired because I never can, because women do not have an equal playing field as of yet. But I do want, I'm trying to, in the process of maybe selling part of my company, or I have 3 different companies, so I want to sell one or take a partner on with another. And one of the things that's a drawback for me right now, and which doesn't happen to a regular company, would be because I'm a WBE. Some of my business does come from the WBE, but that Zeckendorf didn't come from being a WBE. And the other one that's a developer, that's the problem with the vapor, that's not from a WBE. So I have to separate but I'm trying to, and I don't know how that you feel about that, we should talk after, but and actually it's funny because when I was trying to sell the company, the lady who was in charge of acquisitions for a $1 billion company and I had breakfast, she was the head of mergers and acquisitions, now she's the CEO. So she's like, if you're not ready now, we waited 8 years one time to buy a company from someone. I said, that's good news, because I really, all of a sudden, I'm like, I felt like I had to do it, and I said, I really need to think about this more. So it was fine, but what she told me when she said in her 50 acquisitions she did, in her 5 years, only 2 were owned by women. So there's not very, I'd like to see more women become owners, because you have more, you can't really fire yourself. So only your clients can fire if you screw up. But if you do what you say you're going to do, and that's what another piece of advice I get, do what you say you're going to do, and you'll still succeed no matter if you're a man, woman, child. Doesn't matter. If you do, you keep your promises. But I think that, I'd like to see more women. I'm on a panel next week for commercial real estate women in New York City, which I was past president of and very involved on a national, international level, they do these studies and stuff, so I'm very involved with it. But also, I feel like one of the things I look back on is I didn't stay involved with BOMA or the Building Congress or the Urban Land Institute. Like, when I got pregnant, I was like, I can't do all this stuff, I'm tired. So I was like, I stuck with one thing, but I did become the president, and I went on to a very big leadership role, and I get a lot of business from it. One referral I got one time has given me $1 million of business in 10 years, so, in consulting fees. So those are the planting of those seeds I was telling you about, that Johnny Appleseed thing. But anyway, so I don't know what else I could say about that. I just.
Okay, we're gonna
You
talk
gotta
about
keep, you gotta
work-life
just keep
balance in a
plugging,
minute.
plugging.
I have one more question, Ciela. You mentioned paperwork before, and that is huge. And I was seeing, as an architect on this side, seeing especially contractors that leave a lot of money on the table when they're not filling out their paperwork correctly or filling out their WMBE paperwork correctly. Talk about how you really made a business out of that.
Well, once again, it was just inspiring. There's a lot of process and procedures when you do any kind of business, right? And you have to follow it in order to be successful. Because you might be very good at what you do, but if you cannot put it in writing, you cannot communicate clearly, then, most likely that success can just, go down. So we emphasize that clear communication and document control is the key to any project so that it can be successful. So architects, engineers, project managers, field people, if we don't have that clear line of communication, paperwork, then we're gonna start seeing, change orders, delays in the schedule, and all this. So one of the things I have to say about the industry is not that we just lack of, women being actually involved, but there is also a lack of technology. And we have to somehow, that needs to grow in the industry so that we can actually communicate within minutes or seconds, it has to be real communication so that we can mitigate risk. So it all starts from, pre-construction or even pre-design, right? And then you can get the contractor involved since the beginning and get the team working together. That connection, that, is that starts going, gets the project going. So, but everything needs to be written, anything needs to be has to be safe, because then it goes litigations, lawsuits, and if we don't have those documents available and ready, then there's no way we're gonna be safe. It starts in the field, it starts in pre-construction. In every cycle of the construction phase, you have to have the documents from beginning to end. And it has to be a clear and defined line of communication, from every single team. And no poor players, and get everybody involved in it. Not because you are a consultant or a small business, or a third or second tier of the contractor. You can't just leave them out of the construction process. You actually have to bring them along so you know what's actually happening, so they can get paid or they can mitigate risk.
Thank you, and leading on that as well. Sometimes, especially larger projects or municipal projects, the architects and engineers are working on them with the owner far in advance of even selecting a contractor. What are the advantages of bringing a contractor or construction manager on pre-design, even start at the inception of a project? Do you have any input on that?
Yes, every trade or every part of the construction, the designers, the architects, the engineers, the contractors, they know their own things. And when you get them together in the same room, then you can actually get this project ahead, because you get the contractor point of view and say, oh, well, you designed it like this, but the reality is that, if you're gonna put a kitchen there or whatever it is, you have to make sure that, the drains have to be this way or that way, whatever. So if that communication is not there since the beginning, then it's just gonna be lost time and money at the end of the project. So I believe that it's very important to bring the main, players since the beginning and get them involved.
I agree, we're doing a project with NYCHA, and they bid it out before they had a CM, and it's just a big mess. Because they left out a lot of scope of work they now have to do back.
Ellen, do you see that a lot? I guess
Yeah,
exactly, when you see the litigation.
I'm waiting for the litigation. Listen, I can't express enough, as your attorney which I hope I never see any of you, which is a good thing. The first thing I'm asking for is your contract, your proposals. I need everything. You guys have it on your computers. If you don't have the hard copy, save it to a disk. I have a very hard time telling a judge that the architect doesn't have the drawings. What do you mean she doesn't have the drawings? She's the freaking, the judge will be screaming at me, and it's true. Why does the architect not have the drawings? There's we have job trailers, everything's supposed to be kept in, there's toolbox sessions, whatever you want to call them. I encourage from Skanska down to the smallest subcontractor, keep notes of everything. I want those employees signing in. I want job orders signed. When you hand them a protocol or you hand them a piece of PPE equipment, have them sign off for it. They don't say, no, I never got one. Here's your signature, dude. What do you mean you never got it? So yes, by all means, please keep paper documentation of everything you do.
Thank you. And legal questions. I know, again, in my career, seeing the construction industry really be a lot more refined now. It's like a suit and tie type of a career rather than the sort of rough and tumble industry that it was once before. But there are still issues, hostile work environments or issues on the construction site. Do you see that being managed better? Is it still issues? And how can we, as professionals, help that along?
I will tell you very sadly, I have multiple cases of sexual assaults on construction sites of tradeswomen. That's got to stop. That in and of itself is very telling about women in the construction industry. If you can't feel safe at your job, then where can you feel safe? And it's going to be a very hot topic now because as more women are starting to enter the industry, and as we now have the Harvey Weinstein type of people, I expect we're going to see an increase in claims that may or may not be true. We'll have to discover that, but that's now what I'm seeing sadly on construction sites.
And that doesn't only violate the sexual harassment, but laws that, I know everyone had to get like a class, this through the training. But OSHA has a general duty clause that says every employee must have a safe work environment, so you can get them on the OSHA too.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, not that you really could, but I mean, it's just sad. I can't believe that you just told me that. That really is the case. It's sad.
And if I have to add is, it is true. I think it happens very often still. And I believe it's because we still in this old mentality where men treat men a certain way and say things a certain thing without thinking twice. Now there's more women involved, and they, I think we have to somehow lead them or teach them or guide them of, how to stay all together in a safe work environment. So it has to come from us, and they have to be aware, and we have to communicate clear, and we have to let them know so that they get used to it. It's just a process. I guess it's a transition. Well, we all change in the industry as well.
Well, what do you think is the most common litigation issue that you see?
Specifically for architects, it's the failure to get the final DOB seal.
Wow.
That's the one thing I will tell you. The bottom line
That one
is
building we had to take 20 floors down, I just read that one. That was a big one.
don't pull permits for anyone. I get architect, oh, my friend is putting a building up, he asked me to pull the permit. I said, what, you out of your mind? Now somebody falls, you pull the permit, you're in. So those are the two things that I see are the biggest mistakes, is not getting the seal and pulling permits. I kid you not. I literally must have 20 architectural cases where they pull permits as a favor.
Do you get involved with litigation for job site injuries at all?
Yes, as a matter of fact, I'm appearing at OSHA on Monday because I represent a very large company at LaGuardia Airport, and we electrocuted several people at the same time. So we are, we're going to the OSHA. Yeah, they are.
Thank God.
Not really. I do a lot of OSHA stuff. I mean, I'm available to talk if any of you folks ever want to talk. But, look, the things are getting worse and worse. I preach to the insurance companies all the time. Risk management, risk management, risk management. When people come in and they take the personal protective equipment, I'm not kidding you, have them sign in for it. Put their names in it. I don't care if it's here, you're cutting huge pieces of stone. If it's their gloves, their goggles, their hat, it has to have their name in it. You would be surprised how much that saves you in a lawsuit. I don't wanna hog it, but basically, that's what I would really encourage is risk management. If you can stop it, get ahead of the claim. There's not gonna be a claim if you get ahead of the claim. And then if a claim happens, don't sit on it. Call your insurance company or your broker immediately, because I get out there right away. I'm on a 24/7 rapid response OSHA team, and I'm on the trucking team also. So I'll get a call at 3 o'clock this morning, hey, there's an accident at the GW, 7 people were killed, can you get down here? So me and my pit bull that I rescued from the SPCA jump into the car, because I'm not going into the GW 3 a.m. myself, and that's what we do. So respond quickly to accidents, respond quickly to change orders, respond quickly to changes on the work site. Alert people of dangers, and she and I know we do this a lot. If there are dangerous conditions on a work site, don't walk over and go, you think I should tell him about this? Let it be known. I'd rather have that you noted a dangerous condition than say, no, there's never been a condition. Of course there's dangerous conditions all over the work site. So there's ways of writing things and speaking your verbiage, your recollection. It's critical to all of your defense. So as I said, just try to get ahead of everything.
Thank you. And talking about diversity and inclusion, it says that right now there's a lot of mandated, right? 30% sometimes, right? Between women, minorities, disabled veterans, et cetera, et cetera. And I know both of you are both minority or WBEs. How often do you see that being requirements in all your jobs?
So most of our work is actually private work.
Okay.
I mean, public work. So we work with the city agencies, and most of them are that have the requirement. Some are actually mandatory, but not all of them. But it's a task. Because even though I'm a minority and a woman in business, you have to do your due diligence. You really have to fight for it, and it's really hard. The program is there. I believe in it, but there's a lot that needs to improve.
Well, when the program first started, I've been at WB for very many years. Actually, I was very sick about 5 years ago, and I let it lapse, and it took me a long time. It takes like so long. If you're going to start a business and you want to become a WB certified business, get an early start on it because it takes a long time. Right now, the state's been inundated because of this 30% they're trying to give to underrepresented populations over time. I mean, a lot of the money's been going to the same people, so this is a way to like even the playing field and spread the wealth. We're all taxpayers. 49% of the women in New York State are taxpayers. So, but I think we only get like 13% of the public money that's spent. So that's really not a good ratio. So that's why companies like ours, we are getting a part of that pie, which is nice. But I think our ratio is about 30% public and 70% private now, or maybe 60-40, depending on what we're doing at the particular time. We're trying to, like I said, I just had lunch yesterday with Maureen Hennigan. I don't know if you guys know Hennigan Construction. They're $250 million construction firm. She's like the biggest woman-owned construction company in New York, I think. That's a small family-owned, and $250 million is small for a construction company, but I'm like, it's huge compared to me. I'm like, I wish I was $250 million in that company. But she said, she's trying to get away from anyone. She's a WB, she's a WeBank also certified, which is for the private sector. For those of you who might want to start a business, WeBank is a thing you can do. And she's like trying to not even have, it's like we're all excellent professionals, whether we're women or men. So she's trying to get away from that whole women label, but I think it's almost premature, and I didn't want to say it to her, but maybe I'll say it to her some other time. We're on that panel next week together. She's like, it's just going to be called a panel of powerful entrepreneurs. We're not even mentioning the word women in the title, which is what I would like to see. That would be the future where it's like colorblind or gender blind or whatever blind. But I don't see it still happening. But I think that if we continue to act professional. There's no crying in baseball, there's no crying in construction or in architecture, or, go in the bathroom and do it. Amy Cuddy, do the power pose. Did anyone watch Amy Cuddy from Harvard, like she does the power pose?
Yeah.
Like, do some things. Katie, that crew group that I belong to, we go to a lot of conventions, leadership summits. Katie Carr wrote a book called, Katie Carr's a woman. She's from BBC, I don't know if you know, Katie, it's a confidence code. Confidence is a muscle for those of you who don't feel confident. I saw Joanne Maneri, who's the COO of RXR the other day, was at a PwC event at Syracuse University, and she said, I'm like I don't have confidence. I'm like, you're like 60 years old and you've been like the COO of Ratner and like all you, and you don't have confidence. I'm like, I feel so much better. Like I thought I was one of you. So just be confident, no matter how old you are, whatever you are doing. You gotta know, be prepared, and you'll feel confident, and that will get you opportunities. Because whether you're a man, woman, or whatever, you have to just go for it. And also the other thing that crew found is that risk and reward. Women take a lot fewer risks. That's why we'll be safer if there's more women in construction. But men, we are. You know, the risk and reward is entrepreneurship and other things. So I think that those are the things we got to work on in just terms going forward.
Thank you. On that note, does anybody have any other words of encouragement for young women or women in the industry?
Yes, I mean, this is your chance. It's today, maybe tomorrow morning. It's your chance. You have to take your future in your hands. And these are the opportunities. There are great associations. There are great programs, city and state. Get ahead of it, go for it. Do not be afraid. It's just a task, and you are able to do it. Prepare yourself, get the certifications, get whatever you need to get, but go for it. This is your time, We all are in this circle of life, The CEOs, 50 years ago are gonna pass, and we need new people. We need young people. We need innovation. We need diversity, and we need inclusion. And this is our time. So I encourage all of you to take a stand in your own life and go for it.
Well said. Well said.
Yeah, very well said.
That's
That's
Yeah,
I think we should
yeah.
have that.
Very encouraging all that. So we're going to try to keep it short so we can open it up for questions or conversations. So anyone has to offer or questions to ask.
Or the wine is back there.
So there will be a tour, right? We're going to take you a tour afterwards to see this beautiful showroom. And I'd like to thank ABC Stone again
Yes,
for
thank
opening
you
up their
so
home
much.
here. And for all the refreshments. Thank you.
I just wanted to say something before we go to the tour. First of all, thank you very much for coming. We know that they're all coming from everywhere, like Connecticut, the city. You are far out east, I think.
No, I'm Nassau.
Oh,
I'm good.
you're
I'm
Nassau,
good.
okay,
But I
you're
came to the
good.
city today because I was at a job site
okay.
in NYU this morning.
So
That's
we
fine.
really appreciate your time in coming here. Ingrid, thank you so much for helping us putting this together. This is the first time that we do an event like this. Last year in November, we also collaborated with NAWIC New York chapter in the Block Kids competition. That was more, Priscilla is here. She's the lead person of that event. So basically this is our second time working together, and it's not going to be the last one. This is a relationship that we just started. We are here in this together, the women in architecture and the women in construction. So we are providing that networks and support for all women in the industry and men, because this is something that we can all learn from each other. I never like to exclude men from our events, because we learn from them too, and they learn from us. So thank you everybody for coming. If you are familiarized with our committees, if you're not, please reach out to us. Keep coming. We are
Looking for volunteers.
We're looking for volunteers, yes. And we are hosting, the Women in Architecture is hosting another event in May. It's going to be really, really interesting about negotiation, and not only for like as a professional, like negotiate your salary, how much you're worth it, but also for professionals. So just keep posted. We will be sending that information soon, but we're gonna have some good programs this year, and with women in construction too. So thank you everybody for coming, and thank you Don for helping us hosting this event. He's always great with AIA Long Island, and we really appreciate all your support. This is like the third time we're here, and we appreciate this.
Thank you.
Anybody's interested in
a tour, meet me down the stairs in the back, and we'll give you a quick tour. It is recorded 1 CEU, which is a continuing education credit for those professionals that need them.
Do you need them to sign in?
Just sign in, sign your number.
Here at the front is the sign-in sheet, so please put your information there, and you'll have a credit extra of the 2 credits that you're
And you know what, she
offering.
said something that none of us said, which is so true. All you guys who came tonight, and those the Women in Architecture event, but we can't do it without you guys. So really, we appreciate you being here, and let's keep together, working together, because we're all in this together, right?
Yes.
All right, guys.